Real learning happens where theory meets practice, which is exactly why we are here to speak to an exceptional personality who is here to connect theory with practice while sharing her personal experiences with you as well, which is why we are so excited to have on board with us Jiza Meepagala. Very warm welcome to you, Jiza. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dhumendra. Thank you for inviting me.
The pleasure is all ours. But before we start with our episode today, we want to formally introduce Jiza to you. And to do so, it is my pleasure to introduce Jiza to you. Jiza currently serves as a risk analyst at IFS and holds over 5 years of corporate experience, including at a leading apparel organization. She is a past finalist of CIMA and also holds a BSc degree in Economics and Management from the University of London. While serving as an enterprise risk management professional, she is also an ESG governance enthusiast and has played an instrumental role in preparing the Preparer's Guide to SLFRS S1 and S2 with practical steps for application, which has been issued by CASriLanka. With that said, once again, a very warm welcome to you, Jiza. Well, we have a lot to talk about today. We have the business level capstone to talk about, and most of our students are waiting to hear all about it as well. But before we start, we want to know a little bit more about you. You do have a lot of experience in the risk management, governance, and sustainability areas as well. Can you tell us and take us through a little bit about your journey?
Sure, and once again, thank you so much for that generous introduction. So, to talk about my journey, so I schooled here in Sri Lanka. I went to Lyceum, and then there I finished my O-levels and A-levels, and like every kid today, I was kind of lost in terms of what I want to do in my future. So, but then I knew I had a passion for economics. I was very much in love with it. So what I did was I chose a degree which had it. So I went with the degree offered by RI from the University of London, and I completed it. And while doing that, my mom forced me to do CIMA, so I got that done as well. So I completed both of those, and during that time, again, I guess many students can relate to this. My mom pushed me again to find a job. So I went ahead, did that. And then I came across this job advert, which was kind of very new to me. It said a trainee in risk management in one of the leading firms in Sri Lanka, and it intrigued me, to be honest. And then I applied for it, and I got a call, I got an interview, and somehow I got selected. I knew next to nothing in terms of the role or the corporate world, but with time I fell in love with the area of it, and then I got to learn a lot about the company, the corporate world as well, and that's where my passion for risk management, sustainability, governance grew. Especially my supervisor inspired me to learn more on this, and it actually triggered an interest in me. So right now I'm pursuing a career in these areas, and it keeps me on my toes every day. And with that, I also kind of pursued like the whole teaching aspect, where I kind of had a bit of training in terms of economics, where I've been teaching A-level economics. And then with that, I entered the whole CA Sri Lanka teaching landscape. And so that's kind of like my journey so far.
Wonderful. So the rest is history, clearly, and we're so glad that you did take this path, because now we have an expert in the industry, one of the experts coming in to speak about the business level capstone, because there is a lot of risk related areas that is included in this capstone as well, which is where you can really help us all out in. So let's talk a little bit about the business level capstone, okay?
Sure.
So the big question is මොකද්ද මේ business level capstone කියන්නේ කියලා. So what is this business level capstone? What is it about, and what exactly are we looking at? How is it a redefining moment in the curriculum?
Okay, so Dhamendra, as you and many of our audience knows, this is something new for the entire business level. Previously, it's where, the students had to study each and every subject in silo, and they had to face the exam, and they were able to go to the next level. Now, they're bringing a new part called the business capstone, and they cannot just study the subjects in silo and pass. They have to go through this different very innovative case study sort of a thing to pass on to the next level. And what's redefining about is actually two things. Now, going to the corporate world, you can never just work on one specific thing. You won't get a project at once which will focus only on the financial accounting aspect or the management accounting. It's a whole mix of everything. You need to incorporate everything you learned, and then you need to apply all of that in the real world. So it's not just, you sitting in a desk reporting and recording some numbers. It's where you have to justify the decisions you took. It's where you have to explain them. It's where you have to present them. So Capstone is bringing that practical element to the business level, from the business level itself. I mean, they had to face this at the strategic level, but now students are exposed to it at the very first level itself. So that's one part of the one answer to your question, why it's like a redefining thing. The other is at the capstone, you get the technical skills tested. You get the enabling skills tested, which is done across the other subjects as well. Yeah. But here, you have the power and the integrity skills also coming into play. So 4 types of skills are going to be tested for a student, and they're going to be exposed and challenged on across these 4 skills. If you ask again why this is redefining, it's again something related to the real world example where, once you step in through those doors, you were to make sure that you put into practice all of these 4. So I'll give you a small example from my personal career. So there was once a point in my career actually so I've been in the risk management field, and then I had to do a risk assessment for the business based on the external environment. So there I had to make sure that I had the knowledge in terms of what's happening out there in the world. And then I had to apply my theory, the technical things that I've learned to understand what's happening inside the business. I had to analyze the financial data. I had to make sure that I'm aware of the different laws and regulations that are passed outside. So my technical expertise was tested. And then I also had to make sure that the sustainability related aspects are also covered. And with that, I had to present these. Just me making a report is not enough. I had to go and present this to my supervisor. And there onwards, especially for a risk specialized career, you kind of need to challenge the business saying, look here, these are the risks for your business. So then you have to present them and communicate it to the relevant stakeholders. Yeah. And that tested my interpersonal skills, how well I can communicate them, how well I can present these things. So for one small exercise in my career, all of these areas got tested. So it's not something that, in the real world, you can just separate, okay, this is the only thing that I'm going to do right now. I'm only going to focus on the financials at this point in time. No, all of these things that the students will be exposed in the business level is something that they'll have to face in the future. And this coming in the business level is going to help them get ready for it in a very early stage. So they won't be dumbstruck and found surprised when they go into the real world.
Yes, absolutely. Very true. And also, geez, I have to ask you because a lot of people that is facing the business level this time has a common belief that may business level capstone එක අමාරු වෙයිද අපිට තව කල්යයිද මේක ඉවර වෙන්න කියලා. Okay, because there is a verbal pitch like you mentioned, and there's also written assessment as well. How important is it that this is happening, and will it be hard for people who is struggling maybe with language or otherwise? What are your thoughts about it?
I agree. So a lot of people are saying, oh, ළමයි ගොඩක් කියනවා මේක අමාරු වෙන්න පුළුවන්, මේක අලුත් දේවල් ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. So yes, it's a very drastic change compared to what they had to go through before. Completing business level before is different to what they have to go through right now. But that's because there are a lot of things that are unfamiliar to them. They have a power and integrity assessment, they have a verbal pitch, they have then a case study. So all of this is unfamiliar, but just because it's unfamiliar doesn't mean it's unfair too.
Yeah.
Because this is sort of like a practice that are used across other well-known global professional qualifications as well. So to answer to your question, it's going to be a challenge because it's something new.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess nobody really learns when they're in their comfort zone. So it's just a matter of going through that obstacle. And I mean, කරන්න බැරි දෙයක් නෑනේ මේ ලෝකේ. Everything, if you try, you can face it and you can go through it. So when it comes to the business level capstone, it's just that it will test you in a different way, especially with the verbal pitch. But that doesn't mean CA expect you to be, come there and present with the perfect English, be perfect presenters. They just want to make sure that you think outside the box and you build the confidence. Once you go out into the real world, you can put it into practice. So this is just a rehearsal sort of for the students to get that in practice. So I'll give you a very good example from my own career. So I started as just a graduate trainee in a leading firm, and then, to be honest, I knew nothing that I did for the first 3 to 4 months. That's like the very honest situation. I was learning, everything was new. I entered the corporate world just while doing my university degree, and I was doing CIMA also. So I was doing CIMA, I was doing my degree, and I started working. So all of this was there on my plate. And so from a risk profession, you have to present your risk statements, your papers to the risk committee and then to your board as well. So that's part of the job. I did my part of the work. I did the part that was allocated to me. But then my supervisor was like, come, Jisa, let's go to the risk committee this time. And then I was like, okay, this is going to be a good opportunity, and I'll just be sitting in a seat and, listening, see how it goes. But then just a couple of minutes before, my supervisor was like, Jisa, why don't you present a couple of risks to the risk committee? And then my heart started beating. I was literally in shock. Because I mean, I never expected this. I was just planning to go and sit and chill. But then this was given to me. I can't say no. So at that moment, I was challenged on my technical expertise, how well I knew what I was presenting, the risks of the business. And I'm not just presenting this to like a colleague, over tea. I had to go and present it to the risk committee chair. It was a big deal. And then I need to be able to present this and communicate it clearly in a way that they understand. I had to make sure that my people skills are in place, and I do it in a very formal way because this is a formal setting. This is not just a chat with your colleagues over coffee again. So within the next 5 minutes in that day, I was tested on all of this, and I didn't have much time. I didn't have time to rehearse. I didn't have time to memorize what I was going to say. So what I'm telling is, in the real corporate world, it's like that. You will be tested, you will be challenged at the most unexpected times. So having students having to go through this in the business level itself is where reality comes to them a little early. So ළමයි මේක අර challenge එකක් වදයක් අමාරු දෙයක් විදිහට බලන්නේ නැතුව මේක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ real world එකට ගියාම face කරන්න තියෙන reality එකට පෙරහුරුවක් වගේ දැක්කොත් it's going to be very interesting for them because this rehearsal or this practice is what is actually required when you go out there, when you do it in the real world. Because I mean, some might say, I only get 5 minutes. How can I present a business pitch in 5 minutes? But that is exactly how much you get in the real world. The impression you make in those 5 minutes will carry you for the rest of your career. And that helps you to win the board's confidence. That actually helped me as well. I mean, I had no preparation, I had no script, but then the way I conducted myself, way I communicated, got myself inside. Like actually it opened doors for me where the next risk committee also, my supervisor was like, come Gisa, let's go and you be a part of this. So doing this will not hinder their journey, will not slow them down, but it will actually be a stepping stone for their career, and they'll realize this actually when they go out there. Because a person who is able to integrate all of these skills will be able to stand out in their career.
Absolutely. So you have nothing to worry about. Rather, it's only to prepare you to be a leader in the future. And you've heard it from her itself. And Gisa, let's speak a little bit about the structure of the business level capstone now. Is there a pre-seen case study to start off with? Is it correct to say that there is a pre-seen case study for the written assessment, or what exactly is the structure? Can we speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So yes, Duminder, there's a bit of a confusion about how the structure is going to be, what the students have to face when it comes to this exam, because it's not just an exam for one subject. So what happens for the business level capstone is that there is a separate syllabus that the students have to learn. And it's across 5 learning leads that they can see right now in the screen. So all these 5 areas are very critical in the real world in terms of putting their knowledge into practice. So they'll have to cover the syllabus across all of these 5 areas with a lot of weightage onto operations management, which is a very important topic for this level. And after they go through this syllabus, they'll come across a pre-scene.
Okay.
So in this pre-scene, ළමයිට හම්බෙනවා hypothetical business case එකක්. So මේක ඇත්ත company එකක් වෙන්න නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. It can be a hypothetical company. Somehow they get exposed to a bit of a detailed case study of a company.
So at the company එකක් වගේම situation එකක්.
Situations තියෙන, scenarios තියෙන, and they'll get exposed to financial statements, real business problems, real business decisions. So මේ ඔක්කොම තියෙන detailed case study එකක් ළමයින්ට release වෙනවා. So this is very important because this pre-scene is going to help them with the verbal pitch and the unseen case study. So with this pre-scene, they'll also release a verbal pitch document, where in that verbal pitch document, there'll be 5 operational scenarios. Students are given 5 operational scenarios across 5 different areas of the business. For the same business, එකම hypothetical business එකට 5 scenarios දෙනවා. Okay. So what the students have to do is, they have to do a verbal pitch across any of these 5 scenarios. So that will be tested on the verbal pitch for 5 minutes, and they'll have to record this and upload it to the LMS. And after that, they'll have to get ready for the case study. So during this time, they will need to understand the information that they've given on this company. They'll need to sometimes predict, assume what might come in the unseen, if they might give a scenario. And in the unseen case study, ළමයිගෙන් ඒකට එහාට ගියපු ප්‍රශ්නයක් අහන්න පුළුවන්. So it's not just memorizing or studying what's given. It's the ability to analyze, assume, and understand what's given in the pre-scene, so that they'll be able to face the unseen and the case study.
Okay.
So that's a very brief understanding on how the capstone is being structured.
Yes, Jeez, and also something that I noticed that you said was that they may be asked beyond what is seen in the pre-scene as well. But of course, the students are being prepared for it. They are being prepared to face any situation that is asked in the exam, right? And as Infinity Learning Space also, we are providing all our business level students free of charge the videos on YouTube එකේ free of charge videos ඔක්කොම ඔයගලන්ට හම්බ වෙනවා, resources ඔයගලන්ට access කරන්න පුළුවන්. අපි Infinity Learning Space එක හැටියට කොහොමද අපේ business level students ලව prepare කරන්නේ මේ business level capstone එක face කරන්න?
Good question. So, මම දකින විදිහට දුමේන්ද්‍ර, especially with Infinity Learning Space, the advantage that students get is we're going beyond just traditional teaching. You know, we won't come and tell you, okay, this is what you have to memorize for the exam, this is what you have to study, you can go through these areas. No, we'll be teaching children how to think, because that's what is tested in the capstone itself. How they can practically think outside the box and apply it. So that is something that the students will be able to enhance with Infinity Learning Space.
Okay.
And apart from that, especially case study at Infinity Learning Space, they'll be able to crack this pre-scene with the lecturer. They'll get insights, they'll help the students understand what each of these business scenarios are and how the students can prepare for the unseen. That's sort of like that assumption, and the lecturers will help through that.
Okay.
And apart from that, if you take the syllabus for Capstone, there are some areas which are very technical. Godak technical expertise in areas cover belatina pe syllabus. So at Infinity, there'll be a panel of industry experts who are doing this, practicing this in the real world, who will help the students to understand them in the practical application. Rather than just reading the theory, they'll come to the students with practical examples. It could be on ERP, on AI, because all of this is touched in the new syllabus. So getting that insight from these industry experts will bring that real difference to the students, especially by joining Infinity. So they are able to think freely, they are able to practice, they are able to make mistakes before they go and face the exam.
Yes, and Jiza, you mentioned about AI. So I'm gonna come into a question about digital transformation, because we all know that artificial intelligence, robotics, ERP transformation, ERP systems, they're all reshaping the corporate world, the business environment now. So how does this capstone ensure that students can now lead digital transformation instead of simply adapting to it? Because we're beyond adapting. How can they lead digital transformation?
Good questions, Dhumendra. So like you mentioned, like other kale mona company ekakවත් don't do physical bookkeeping, and actually we don't even use the traditional Excel anymore. We've moved way beyond that. We have ERP systems coming into play, we have automated dashboards, we have AI agents. So with this, no company will expect students who are with a traditional mindset and have the traditional accounting skills and the technical expertise. So the digital aspect is very important to every professional out there. So in the capstone, they'll learn how to interpret this financial and operational data. How they can ask the question in terms of, what does this data tell me? What sort of decisions is this data supporting me? Because just, reporting and recording some numbers won't get you that extra mile in your career. What brings you to the next level is being able to take decisions based on the data. So for that, we need to be able to interpret. So for that, we need that understanding. So that's where the digital transformation skills really come into play. So Capstone will help students get through this and understand and analyze the data that's there across every company. And also, one thing that we see in companies is if a person, if a professional is having a backward mindset, අපිට මේ අලුත් tools ඕනේ, අපිට මේ තියෙන විදිහට කරන්න පුළුවන්, that's not a very positive mindset to have at a company. You need to have an open mind and you need to be knowledgeable about these things. So that is also something that will help a student who is going to enter their career in the future thrive.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. And Jisa, okay, so I'm going to ask you about sustainability now, because sustainability, ever since it's been trending, but ever since 2025, especially now that it's mandatory, sustainability is a big word that we are all hearing. All business level students, corporate level students, strategic level students, ඔක්කොමල්ලා අහන වචනයක් තමයි sustainability. Sustainability and ethical operations. දැන් Capstone එකෙන් මේ වගේ important topic එකක් කොහොමද අපේ ළමයින්ට ඒ value එක දෙන්නේ? ඒ value එක ඉගෙනගෙන ඒක apply කරන්න කොහොමද sustainability and ethical operations වගේ දෙයක් අපේ ළමයින්ට දෙන්නේ?
Agree, Dhumendra. So I've heard people saying, why are we talking about sustainability? This is accounting. No, I'm a finance professional. Why do I need to know about sustainability or how much of emissions my company is creating? But like you said, especially with 2025, SLFRs, S1 and S2 coming into play, every board in Sri Lanka and across the world has to rethink their decisions. They cannot just focus on their profits, their efficiencies. No. They are challenged to think about the impact to the environment, impact to the society. So these are the changes that are happening at a board level. So a student who is going to the real world, to the business world, knowing what sustainability is, how to make decisions that will impact the business as well as the environment, will have that upper hand. So at business level itself, students are challenged to look at the profits, the operational efficiencies, but also while contributing or considering these factors. So at a very early stage itself, ළමයින්ට තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්, ළමයින්ට දන්නවා apply කරන්නේ කොහොමද, ඒගොල්ලෝගේ decisions, ඒගොල්ලෝ especially case study එක ඒගොල්ලෝගේ test කරද්දී ඒගොල්ලන්ට maybe with this coming into play, they cannot just give an answer that will be focused on the profits. They'll have to take all of these into consideration when they build their answer. And that is the exact same thing that's happening out there. Every accountant needs to be aware of this, aware of their social cost.
Yeah. Yes, and Jiza, since you have been a part of the corporate world, you are still part of the corporate world, there is something that a lot of our students will be interested in knowing as well about the challenges that they could overcome relating to how to think critically and how to solve complex problems and make decisions under uncertainty. What is your advice to our students on such factors? Because the Capstone is covering such factors as well. What is your advice on it?
Good question, Dhumendra. So, like you mentioned, Capstone comes with a little bit of uncertainty because there is a part of the exam which the students are not exposed to. ළමයි දන්නේ exam එක කොටසක් until they go and sit for the exam. That's with the unseen. So with this, they might come across some scenarios that they might, have to make certain business decisions where the company will say that there are certain financial limitations. So at times like this is where students have to really critically think. They have to think about business resilience. They have to talk about professional judgment. So these are certain things that will be developed through the Capstone and which will be helpful for them also in the future, especially when it comes to the whole critical thinking aspect.
Wonderful. And also speaking a little bit more about the Capstone, because our students are very anxious. They are very excited, but they don't know what to expect. So ඒක නිසා ගොඩක් අය බය වෙලා තමයි ඉන්නේ. ඔයාට ඒගොල්ලන්ට මොන වගේ advice එකක්ද දෙන්න පුළුවන් that business level Capstone එක කරන්න? මේක බය වෙන්න කිසිම දෙයක් නැහැ, කිසිම හේතුවක් නැහැ. මොකක්ද ඔයාට කියන්න තියෙන්නේ?
Mahitani, students la buy when they have to be excited. This is something that they have to be very thrilled about, because here they have to think not just like students, they think like real world professionals. So this is, if they take this as an opportunity and think to themselves, okay, this is me standing in front of a board doing a pitch, that'll help them, that'll give them that practice, that preparation when they go out there. So yes, obviously this is challenging, this is something new, amutu deyak, alut deyak, but of course, like I mentioned before, only when we step out of that comfort zone, we are able to grow. So I hope students take this not as like a burden, make a karadayak, make a challenge, buy when nathua. If they take it as an opportunity, as a rehearsal for them itself from a very early stage, because that's gonna take them that extra mile in their career. Where I've actually seen people where they have the technical expertise, they have the technical knowledge, but they're not they don't have the ability to apply it, to integrate those power and integrity skills. So that has actually taken them a step back. So the ability to combine all of these, the technical expertise to the practical know-how, is going to take them that extra mile in their career. So if they take this as a challenge, which is exciting, rather than something to be afraid of, I guess it's going to be helpful for them.
Wonderful, Jiza. Well, we are absolutely loving the advice, and I'm pretty sure all our business level students that are watching this are very motivated and excited to face the business level capstone now that they know that they are also in good hands and that they are under the right guidance as well, because now, to all the business level students, this is now available to you. මේ නිකම්ම එපිසෝඩ් එකක් නෙමෙයි, මේක තමයි ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ business level capstone එකේ first session එක. මේකත් එක්කම අපේ ඔක්කොම business level sessions, business level videos ඕගොල්ලන්ට free of charge access තියෙනවා අපේ Infinity Learning Space YouTube channel එකේ. අපේ resources, අපේ lecturers ලගේ advice and sessions ඔක්කොම free of charge YouTube channel එකේ දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට ලබා දීලා තියෙනවා. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to commence with the business level capstone sessions, ready to transform you into a future ready chartered accountant. Thank you very much, Jiza, for being here with us and for speaking to us. The pleasure is all ours, and we're definitely looking forward to seeing you in the future as well.
Thank you, Dhumendra, for inviting, and it's a great honor to be here and speak to you and to everyone as well. And I'm very excited for this new journey that we are starting with Infinity Learning Space.
Absolutely. And there you have it. That was Jiza for you, ready to take you on this journey of becoming a future ready chartered accountant. That's it from us. Stay tuned with Infinity Learning Space as we bring you more sessions just like these.